Hello, family. Hello, society. Hello, community. Hello, all my viewers. You're awesome, you're precious, and you're elegant. This is the moment that you and I are to mingle for about 5 minutes and remind each other where we are coming from, where we are. But for tomorrow, because it's a horizon, it is well known by our Creator. Okay, today I have an urge to speak a little bit of politics because it has been so hectic. Okay, I'm a lady and I come from Kenya. My country, Kenya, is facing turmoil, turbulences because of bad governance. And I've come to realize that majority of my citizens, they are confused because the whirlwind of politics that is being thrown here and there has caused some of them to be somersault to an extent of we don't know who to elect next. Okay, there's a word going around, circulating all around aggressively that we might be engaging in the year 2026, the month of August, for elections here in Kenya. It hasn't yet been confirmed. There are those in court to confirm that statement. But before we reach up there, let me remind anyone out there, especially those who are Kenyans. It doesn't matter where you are, as I'm speaking, you are in abroad. It concerns you. Okay, when we attained our independence in the year 1963, it was just a, what do I call it? It was a rehearsal. In truly speaking, we were not given the true independence because we had our forefathers who were in the forest. Yeah, they were struggling, they were at war with the globalist, with the imperialist, with the colonialist, with slave masters. And somehow things were meant to be as if we were free to a point of being given an independence, but it was handed on a wrong hand. The person who received that independence, the senior Jomo, didn't know anything concerning those freedom fighters who were fighting in the forest. Most of them were killed, they were slaughtered, they died painful death, and that is how it all ended up, because as we are here, there are those who didn't even attain a quarter of a land. They died in poverty, and their upcoming generation are following the same suit. It's so bitter, it's so antagonizing, but here we are in the year 2025, and the wheel continues because the generation of those who hijacked the movement are still in there. They are the one who are leaders, and that is why as we are here, Kenyans, majority of them are dying because they are wallowing in poverty. We don't have good hospitals, and if there are no medication. Schools are there, and I've come to realize that the best schools are those that are owned. They are private ones. But for those who are run by the government, they are as good as useless because nothing comes from it. Parents are struggling out there. There are those who have not attained a sphere to take their kids to school. They're just with their children at home. They can't afford what is being asked in those governmental institutions. And that is where we are. Okay, my main point is that God has risen just a young guy from a country known as Burkina Faso by the name Ibrahim Traoré. And mind you, these the same globalist, the former slave masters, the imperialists, those who have a tendency of stealing what we have as minerals. Mind you, here in Kenya we have minerals as uranium, we have gold, we have diamond, yeah, we have all those, but they are not of beneficial to us, because the leaders that we put in offices, they somehow collaborate with these colonialists, the imperialists. I don't want to mention where they are coming from because it's a big it's a big, they have established a company which the leaders we chose, they collaborate with these imperialists, and they're the one who are mining whatever I've mentioned, yeah, to a point of, I for one as a common man, citizen, I can't just relate where our natural wealth goes to. And if you happen to ask, one is unalived, and that is the bitter truth. Okay, my main point here is that I've noticed in many lives, especially the TikTok or even the Twitter, people have come to a common ground to a point of they've just decided to choose. They have their own presidential aspirant, they have their government, they have their governor, they have their senator, they have their MP, and such post. But what is bothering me is that if at all we are not keen, we as Kenyans, we will get ourselves to a fixed, and it will be so bitter than the one we are in. Because in my country, Kenya, we happen to have 42 tribes, and from all these tribes, it is as if there is a disunity, and this disunity is being brought by these aspirant leaders, these politicians. That is the one way they use for them to scatter our votes. I for one happen to come from a community that tends to have the higher population, yeah. I don't want to mention the community, and I've come to realize that these people have just relied on their own understanding to a point of they now believe, they trust in themselves that they can produce a presidential aspirant and win the race. To me, this I see it as a big joke, as an oasis, as a mirage. Why? I for one, I know that in the last year, 2024, in the month of June, we had our Gen Zs and millennials who are out there to protest the bad financial bill of 2023-24, and that is the time we came to know indeed that this generation has all along been knowing what is going on in my country, Kenya. If you happen to hear them out, you know that they are well learned, they know all what is going on, and it's unfortunate because 95% of them are jobless. And mind you, some of them have even 2 masters. They've studied, they've used all their time in school, but at the end of it all, they are being informed that there are no jobs for you. And when they happen to look from afar, from a distance, they realize that some of these leaders in offices, in parastatals, in government offices, they've just extended their retired time. Because in my country, a government officer is supposed to retire at an age of 55 years. But as we are here, if you and I out there happen to visit one of these government institutions, you'll find a guy of over 8 years just working in office. And mind you, majority of them, these senior guys, they don't know even how to operate a computer or even a laptop. So they are causing everything to lag behind. They don't have ideas on how to explore the docket of procurement, because those are some of the courses that emerged starting from the year 2000. Procurement is a course where everything in a company is enclosed from A up to Z, and each and everyone knows on what to do and know what to do. You know what you are supposed to do in that office. There's no mix-up. So if in a company, if you have a procurement officer, all things flows as expected. But mind you, these old senile guys, these old cargos, they are stuck there. Some of them they are planning even to bring their great-grandchildren in those offices. In my country, Kenya, if you don't have connection, even if you are well learned, you just remain at home with your grandmother, taking your hot porridge there, and no one will care about you. And this is the type of country our Kenya is. So, as I shorten my video, I would prefer this. My fellow Kenyans, this is not a time to select a candidate and stick to that candidate to a point of saying that this will be my presidential candidate and this will be my governor and blah blah blah. No, let's give them time. Let them unfold on whatever they have. Let them bring up the manifesto they have. And on this process, you and I, my fellow Kenyan, you'll have a time to create a system. You have a time to enact a policy whereby the so-called presidential candidate or even the governor and the others, if at all they won't attain as to what they promised during the electioneering, you'll have that energy. You'll be bound to face that person and tell them, yes, you told us that you will rectify the infrastructure. What is hindering you not to do so? And that is why all what we will have formed as a constitution will send many of them home. Let's copy Ibrahim Traore. He's a good guy. Okay, the imperialists and the others, our former slave masters and colonialists, they are terming our son, who is godly chosen, as a dictator. But I for one would campaign that all the presidents in Africa country to be dictator. If I told Ibrahim Traore is a dictator, let them be a dictator so long as they work for their people. As we are here, Burkina Faso, the Burkinabe, they are well now. They have everything. There are no taxes. No school is charging any school fees. If you happen to visit a hospital, medicines are there. People are celebrating, and we are still in the same continent. So as we are here, this is our right time to grab the situation of selecting the best. Yeah? In my country, they have a tendency of bringing a project. Okay, and this is mainly done by the outgoing presidents. They just create a president, someone as a project, knowing that if that person is elected as on the top seat, all the stolen wealth, the looting, the cash they've taken to as offshores in abroad, it will be protected. And that is how they are doing it. I don't know how we are to plan everything in order for us to live as we expect, but one thing I know is that each and every movement, each and every steps, and each and every of our plan shouldn't be engaged in emotive situation. You out there, mostly people on the social media platform, most of them are emotive. They go to a point of abusing. They go to a point of shouting out, throw that person out there. We want to speak one language. What type of language? And we are still in the wood. We haven't come out of the wood. We are still there, trying to find a way on how to bring good governance, people-driven policies and systems. That is where the wealth is hidden, and you out there should know all that. We shouldn't just move on in a wave to a point of selecting a person that is not ready to serve us in any way. Thank you for having listened unto me, and as I have indicated, let us be very observant, very accurate, because in my country, Kenya, we are indeed in trials and temptations. We don't know what to say, we don't know what to do, but as we compose ourselves as per the book of Psalms chapter 56 verse 1. Let me read. Reading the word has power. Let me read the book of Psalms chapter 56 verse 1. Be merciful unto me, O God, for man would swallow me up. He fighting daily oppresseth me. Yeah, if the government has bad policies, you and I are directly oppressed, and to a point of being swallowed. There are those who have gone to the early graves because of vicious cycles of poverty. We have to put to a full stop to all this. I've just come from an online platform where someone just indicated that I should be set aside because I'm not accommodating their policies. But my response was that, okay, I prefer what you are saying, but later and very soon we shall realize that politics is an institution that you and I should learn in order for us to know where to vote and where to skip the vote, because it's so mysterious and so unique, and you and I prefer to progress. And yes, we are here. The doors have not yet opened. Let us all prepare so well so that when that time for voting comes, you and I shouldn't be a betrayer to your neighbor. And that is all coded and done and confirmed. I appreciate you. I love you all. And we are all favored from all corners of the world. Thank you.